Hi, this is George Alger, and welcome to another edition of Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be talking about physical fitness, and today's guest expert is Steve O'Neill, who is a certified personal trainer, and we're going to be speaking about circular training. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, George.
All right, well, first of all, let's even define what circular training is. What is that?
Sure. In most exercise, we move in kind of a piston-like linear fashion, and circular training requires the body to move in more circular, hence the name, fluid motions that make better use of all the muscular attachments.
Wow, okay. So let's get a little background on you. How is it that you evolved towards this method of training?
My background is in martial arts. So it tends to be what we call functional training. It's not about big muscles or how you look or even necessarily how much weight you can lift. It's about how well you move, your balance, your coordination, quality of motion. That's what martial arts is really about, and this kind of stems from that.
Good. Now, you mentioned functional training. What is functional training?
Functional training, in a nutshell, is the kind of stuff you would use in daily life. An example would be bicep curls, which look really good, do not help you lift anything. Functional training helps you get through daily life, moving chairs, moving cameras, moving babies, stopping cars if you have to, things of that nature. So it's the type of training that equates very much directly to what you need to live a good life.
Wow, okay. So I got the practical aspect of it, but since many people do associate physical training with the gym and weightlifting and whatnot, could you draw some similarities and differences between the two?
Well, you've got over 600 muscles in your body, okay? Normal training works only a fraction of them in very specific angles, which is a good start. It's better than nothing. However, circular training, where you are doing fluid, rounded motions, gets all of the muscles that work at all of the different angles. When we push, we think that we're working in a piston-like manner, but in fact, you've got a whole bunch of other muscles that are stabilizing. I don't know if that's explaining it well, but think of, there's the big guys that do most of the work, but there's a whole bunch of background guys that let the big guys do their thing. It's those background ones that allow us to move fluidly and keep us from getting injured.
Good. Now, is there any weights at all involved with this?
That is a terribly excellent question. There is a very specific tool called a club bell, which can be used for spinning, twirling moves. Or I think you do martial arts. If you've worked with a staff or any kind of lengthy weapon, it has qualities of that. So there can be a very definite strength resistance component. That's what weightlifting is resistance training, be it body weight or dumbbells and barbells. So you can add some weight to the quality of fluid rounded motion, and then you get kind of an exponential value.
Okay. Well, now since you've mentioned your martial arts background and you've shown me with your arms some motions that I would also associate with some martial arts practices, would it be safe to say that circular training is actually an ancient form of training?
That is an excellent correlation, because when we go back through and look at the history of movement, the history of fitness, the systems that have stood the test of time, I mean, through the millennia, have been yoga, which has a very circular aspect to it, and Tai Chi, which is actually less than 800 years old, but still older than Gold's Gym. So, yes, it actually correlates back to very old systems that are still around because they worked.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about some specific benefits to circular training.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is, and I think a lot about how well we age. Most of us will never be professional athletes, so we want to take good care of ourselves so that we age well as the years progress. One of the things that happens when we have relatively small ranges of motion is our joints don't move too much. They move in a very linear, hinge-like manner. There's something called synovial fluid, which is released anytime we move a joint. And if we only move a joint in one angle but not multiple angles, then there's not as much synovial fluid released. And synovial fluid is essentially a lubricant, like oil, but it also has nutrients in it. So when people talk about getting degenerative disc disease or the breakdown of joints in certain types of arthritis, specifically osteoarthritis, part of that is because the synovial fluid has not been released to do its job because we have not moved the joints as they were intended. One of the things that I think modern science has caught up on is back in the 60s, when someone had surgery, was injured, they gave them bed rest, and they healed very slowly. They realized more recently, all things being relative, that when people get up and move, they get better quicker. It's the same concept, only taken to the next level.
Okay, cool. So I got that this fluid is going to be, is I guess more readily available in the body if you do circular training?
Yeah, because if you think of at the joints is where it's released. If you think of a towel or dish rag, when you squeeze it, if you're trying to get the old water out and the new water in, if you squeeze, it'll happen much quicker. If you just run the water over, it'll just kind of run over the towel or the dish rag. But if you squeeze and kind of massage the tissue in the joint, then it will be more apt to absorb it and more apt to produce it.
Okay, so a very practical benefit then of circular training is that you not only could heal faster, but your joints work better?
Your joints work better, you move better. A lot of people wind up injured because they don't have what we call proprioception, or awareness of where they are in space. They slip, they fall, they grab something, they go to grab something and they miss it. Circular training makes you much more aware of your body's where it is in space, leading to all kinds of fall prevention. Like I said, I work with more of an older population, so I'm always thinking about that. But yeah, the addition of more synovial fluid to joints is anti-arthritis, anti-inflammation, and just more better quality movement.
Okay, cool. Now, since there is this association with martial arts, at least on a fundamental basis anyway, and martial arts does have an aspect of it of improving mental awareness or mental sharpness or focus. Is there any similarity to that in circular training?
Yes. Now, part of martial arts training is, of course, the discipline. Okay, sticking to it and staying, as I say, in the moment to deal with the situation. But you brought up a point that it's a little bit hard to describe. We are wired to learn. Our brains actually enjoy learning. And we learn and we create new synapses in the brain. I'm sure you're somewhat aware of how the neurons work. When we learn new movement patterns, likewise, our brains get smarter. The little firings, the process of learning gets more efficient. Short answer would be yes. Long answer gets way too technical.
All right, well, that's cool. So who would benefit from this? I mean, you mentioned you're working with an older, more mature public. Does that mean it's exclusively for folks who are more mature, or does it apply broadly?
It applies broadly. Like I said, the origins comes out of martial arts. So certainly the martial arts or any kind of sports athlete that needs fine-tuned motion and needs to know where they are in space, it would benefit them. So performance-wise, but it benefits the senior person because of the synovial fluid and the other various things we talked about. And it would just the person in the gym lifting weights, okay? We've got our bench press and we know that these are the big guys that are doing all the stuff. But there's little guys in here that are helping. And being able to control those little guys, making sure that those small muscles and those small adjustments are turned on and ready to go, will help in the standard stuff like bench press and squatting and the gazillion things out there.
I see. Actually, you bring up an interesting point because I hadn't thought of that. So obviously someone who's just interested in physical fitness could take this on as an additional discipline. It's not, oh, you only do weight training or you only do circular training or you only do martial arts, whatever. You could mix and match as you might desire.
Yeah, if you think of circular training as kind of the infrastructure on which you would build other things. Tai Chi, when I was learning martial arts, I learned a Korean style, but the instructor made me learn Tai Chi, which is Chinese, because he said it will put your regular training into hyperdrive. It will teach you better mechanics. So even when you won't use Tai Chi type motions, it will give you more power when you do your Tung Soo Do.
Ah, okay, cool. Well, good. So we're kind of winding down right now. Just wondering if someone wanted to find out more, how could they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook currently under Fitness Nexus, and I'm also a trainer and Group X instructor at the Simi Valley YMCA, and I'm accessible through both routes. They know me well at the Y.
Good. Now, before we close off, is there any summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers?
Yeah, one of the things that I run into a lot is people have this all or none mentality. They schedule themselves for an hour workout, then life gets in the way, you get late, and you can't do your hour, so people say, why bother? 10 minutes is better than nothing. So always do something. One of my favorite phrases is you don't quit playing because you grow old because you quit playing. So just move.
I love it. All right, Steve, thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.